I just didn't see why Siya Kolisi his name had to be there. For me, it was, yes, he was his former coach, but the story in itself is so serious that it could have gone on its own. You know, he didn't have to be in the headline. I believe the words you used when you introduced this, I believe that Siya Kolisi's name, his popularity, was being abused to sell the story, despite the fact that the story in itself was serious enough to go on its own.
All right, so clickbait it sounds like, doesn't it? Thandi, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with that. I think it's one of the classic cases of, you know, what's interesting to the public or what's in the public interest. And in this case, the story is absolutely in the public interest, but the headline is absolutely not. And I think you can safely say that it was used as a classic clickbait technique. We all know the reputation and the importance and what Siya Kolisi has done for the nation, and you know, how people are interested in his life and what he is doing. And I think we need to also remember that is when you do have a public profile, you are going to be in the media, but it shouldn't be for this reason. It shouldn't be for clickbait. And I think it really speaks to the kind of environment that we're in as a media industry. To have to resort to this kind of clickbait just shows the challenges of needing to get readers and audience.
Okay, how it's actually is true what is the papers say. So could we have mentioned, or should his name have been mentioned later on in the story, or not at all?
You know, we had this debate in the newsroom, and I think newsrooms need to, I don't know if they are doing this, but we need to go back to debating what we are putting out there and how we are putting out there. I remember in the beginning of my journalism, we used to sit down and talk about certain stories and talk about what's ethical and what's not, especially stories that have to do either with pornography, child pornography, or rape. These are sensitive stories, right? So if we're going to, or stories that have to do with racism and things like that, things that we know that are very sensitive and can make people very angry and can arouse emotion and anger, these kind of stories need to be debated. And I think despite the fact that it's a fact, yes, it can be mentioned. I mean, I don't think mentioning it would have been wrong. He probably coached a lot of people, you know. So making reference to the fact that, you know, he coached people like Siya Kolisi, for me, wouldn't be a problem. It's just that putting Siya Kolisi as the, you know, the first thing to mention for me was really irresponsible. It can be mentioned in conversations, you know. I said to my colleague that people can make that association for themselves when they hear the name. Why are we saying people won't know the association? Why are we assuming that they know the association? For me, it was just irresponsible to start with his name. I don't think it's a problem to mention it because it's a fact, but to make it the first thing people see and to go as far as putting his picture, for me, was really irresponsible.
Yeah, I mean, the picture was quite a stretch, wasn't it, Thandi? But what's shocking to me is that they didn't even mention Carelse's name in the headline. It was just Siya Kolisi.
It is, I mean, I think it is bizarre. Again, you know, I think that it's actually quite a simple explanation, and exactly what we've been saying. It was irresponsible, it was clickbait. Obviously, it was assumed that it would be a good tactic to draw attention. And like Carl was saying earlier, you know, the story itself should have been enough to shock and alarm and grab people's attention. And the fact that, you know, it's thought that this kind of story would not do that on its own, I think we need to be far more reflective as a society in what, you know, draws us to stories if we feel that we need further clickbait to take this kind of thing seriously.
You know, but people have been tweeting and they're really annoyed with this whole thing. And I just wonder how...
We want to explain